The job was a big one, a high-value contract on Julian Vance, the advisor. As a professional, Alex had done the requisite surveillance, mapping the man's routines. Vance would remain in his study until the deep hours of the night before retiring to his bedroom. High above the city, the moon was a sliver. Light still burned in the advisor's penthouse study. Alex carefully pried open a panel of the glass skylight, peering down at the figure below. The man had dark hair that fell loosely around his shoulders, a stark contrast to the sharp lines of his silk dressing gown. He held a heavy fountain pen, its gold nib scratching across a government document. In a city with an elected president, this man held the real power. It was an arrangement that reeked of dirty work and compromised ethics. A cold wind whipped across the rooftop, and Alex adjusted the mask covering the lower half of his face. With a soft click, the glass panel gave way. Alex dropped, landing with practiced silence on the vast mahogany desk. Speed was everything. The private security detail would be here in moments, but by then, Vance would be dead. Alex drew the combat knife from its sheath at his hip. The movement was a single, fluid arc aimed at Julian's throat. It was a move perfected through 100 contracts, a blur of motion that had never failed. But Julian Vance reacted with impossible speed. He kicked back from the desk, his chair rolling on silent casters, the knife's edge slicing through empty air. He was on his feet before Alex could recalibrate. Alex used the scattered documents on the desk for traction, lunging forward again. From behind his back, Julian produced a long, wickedly sharp letter opener, its hilt ornate but its point deadly. The way he held it was not the desperate grip of a bureaucrat, but the steady hand of a trained fighter. The man knew how to handle a blade. Julian parried the next strike. The metallic clang echoed in the silent room. Alex was forced to change tactics, searching for an opening as they exchanged blows. With each passing second, a cold knot of dread tightened in Alex's stomach. Vance's skill was a mirror of his own. The tactical knife, chosen for its light weight and concealability, now felt inadequate against the longer reach of Julian's weapon. Time was running out. Frustration made Alex reckless. A careless lunge left an opening, and Julian's blade sliced across Alex's collarbone. A cold fire spread through the wound. Julian saw his advantage, his eyes glacial as he prepared for a finishing thrust. Alex reacted on pure instinct, kicking off the wall to flip behind him. There was a shredding sound as Julian's weapon tore through fabric. The tactical vest was slashed open below the collarbone, exposing a swath of pale skin. The blood from the new wound trickled down, staining the edges of a unique, star-shaped birthmark. Julian's dark eyes fixed on the mark. The intense focus in them was unnerving. For a heartbeat, the room was so still one could have heard a pin drop. Then, the sound of approaching footsteps from the hallway shattered the silence. Alex delivered a powerful kick to Julian's chest, sending him staggering back. He didn't wait to see him fall, vaulting through the open window and onto the terrace. Survival first, contract second. A raw, furious shout followed him from the room, but Alex didn't dare stop. The security team pursued him across the rooftops like a pack of hounds. To be outmatched by the target and then chased off by his guards was the deepest humiliation of Alex's career. Fortunately, his agility was his greatest asset. He lost them in the labyrinth of the city's heights. The failure left a bitter taste in his mouth. He needed a new plan, and a new tactical vest. The sting of defeat could only be soothed by a couple of good meals. Direct assault had failed. It was time for a more subtle approach. The next attempt was planned for the dead of night, when even the city's insomniacs were asleep. Alex located Julian's bedroom and, using a glass cutter, made a small, silent opening in the window. A canister of fast-acting sedative gas was emptied into the room. Alex then retreated into the shadows of a large oak tree in the garden, waiting for the gas to dissipate. It was strange that Vance, after a recent attempt on his life, didn't have guards posted directly outside his door. The moon vanished behind a thick bank of clouds. Alex slipped through the unlocked terrace doors. On the king-sized bed, a long figure lay still, hands crossed over his chest, his breathing even. That was $3 million, sleeping peacefully. Alex couldn't resist a longer look. The man was undeniably handsome. A shame he had to die. The thought of ending someone so powerful sent a thrill of excitement through Alex. With the thrill came the knife drawn and ready. But before the blade could descend, the man on the bed's eyes snapped open. Even startled, Alex's professional instincts took over. The arm came down. Julian rolled, his leg lashing out to kick Alex's wrist. The knife clattered against the bed frame, and Alex let it go, immediately reaching for the slim needles hidden in his sleeve. But Julian was already moving, pulling a thin, bulletproof shield from under his mattress and blocking himself completely. The man had come prepared. As Alex searched for a weakness, Julian suddenly dropped the shield. Before Alex could register the movement, a fine powder hit his face. Fatal mistake. Alex scrambled back, but his vision was already blurring. So he played dirty too. His body went limp, strength draining away as he collapsed. Alex found a comfortable position on the plush carpet. This was it. A shame he never finished that bag of pretzels. When consciousness returned, the first thing Alex saw was Julian's arrogant face. He was leaning against the desk, watching with a detached amusement. Alex instinctively tried to reach for a weapon, but his hands wouldn't obey. A glance revealed they were bound tightly to the arms of a heavy oak chair. Julian noted that he was awake. The smile on his face was pure mockery. Alex struggled, demanding to be let go. Julian rose, picking up Alex's own knife and using it to tilt Alex's chin up. He mused aloud about the irony of Alex wanting to be freed after trying to kill him. Alex froze, eyes locked on the knife. He warned the man to be careful, that the blade was tipped with poison. Julian paused, then tossed the knife carelessly onto the floor. He called Alex ruthless. That felt wrong. Shouldn't he be dead already? Before Alex could process it, Julian leaned in close. The scent of sandalwood and something cold and sharp filled Alex's senses, raising the hairs on his arms.
Danger.
He was pinching Alex's face now, his dark eyes like deep, turbulent pools. He wondered aloud what he should do with his captive. Survival instinct screamed. Alex threw a leg up, aiming for the most vulnerable target. But Julian anticipated it, trapping the leg between his own. He remarked on how restless Alex was. Thrashing against the ropes, Alex felt like a fish on a line. The pressure on his face made his muffled demand to be released almost unintelligible. Julian suddenly smiled, a wide, unsettling grin. He proposed a game. Alex asked what he wanted, his voice lacking its usual confidence. The advisor wanted to review some documents. Alex was confused. He was tied up just to watch this man work? He had misjudged the situation entirely. This self-righteous monster began to methodically cut away the layers of Alex's shirt. After a moment of satisfied appraisal, he brought out a fine fountain pen and a bottle of ink. He explained the rules. He would ask and Alex would answer. For every answer he didn't like, he would draw a circle on Alex's body. He was the document. Alex cursed him, asking if he was insane. Julian deemed it an incorrect answer. He slowly dipped the pen in ink and approached. The cold touch of the nib on skin made Alex flinch. Humiliation and rage surged, and he kicked out again, only to be trapped as before. Julian looked at him with amusement. What would happen if he tried it again? Alex bit his lip, glaring with murderous intent. If he got out of this, he would eat his entire stash of pretzels and then dismember this man. Julian ignored the look in his eyes and calmly asked who had hired him. Alex refused to answer. A professional never gives up a client. Julian didn't press. He simply drew a neat circle on Alex's left pectoral. His next question was for his name. Alex gave the name Leo. Julian shook his head in disapproval, drawing another circle on the right. Alex insisted he wasn't lying. Julian countered that while he could call himself Leo, it was not the name he wanted to hear. Alex screamed in frustration as the cold ink touched him again. He asked what kind of ink it was. Julian explained it was a common brand, but with a special cooling agent added, a rare import that was priceless. He told Alex he was lucky. The fury made Alex's chest heave. He fought the urge to kick again. For now, he was at the man's mercy. He had to endure. Later, he would have his revenge. Julian asked where he was from. Alex gave a real answer. A small town in the Midwest. Julian called it another lie. Alex exploded, accusing him of just wanting an excuse to draw on him. Julian didn't deny it. He seemed to enjoy it. He paused, then asked if they had ever met in Port Sterling. Alex said no, he'd never been there. For the first time, Julian's playful demeanor vanished. He stared intently, searching Alex's eyes for a hint of deception. There was none to find. Alex had never been to Port Sterling. After his parents died, he became a killer for hire and had made a name for himself in the city. He'd been shot, stabbed, and broken, but never treated like a piece of paper to be marked up. Julian Vance had to have some kind of brain damage. The man put down the pen and gently touched Alex's collarbone, his fingers tracing the star-shaped birthmark. His voice was low, laced with a strange sorrow when he said he could not be mistaken. Alex looked down at the birthmark. Based on years of watching cliché movies, he guessed what was happening. Julian had mistaken him for someone else. Someone with an identical mark. With this thought, Alex immediately began to plead. He told Julian he had the wrong person, offering to help find this other individual if he was released. Julian scoffed at the idea. He picked up the pen again, and the torment resumed. The interrogation lasted all night. Julian asked about every mundane detail of Alex's life, and no matter the answer, he was marked. When Julian finally released him, Alex's first act was to punch him square in the face. Then he snatched the expensive silk dressing gown from the chair and fled. Julian didn't follow. But dawn was breaking, and the estate was stirring. Moving across rooftops was no longer an option. Wrapping the gown tightly around himself, Alex walked brazenly towards the main gate. A guard stopped him. Alex put his hands behind his back, affecting an air of authority, and asked what the problem was. The guard wanted to know who he was. Alex thought fast. He claimed to be Julian Vance's younger brother, Leo Vance. The guard frowned, mentioning that he'd never heard of the advisor having a brother. Alex glanced back towards the bedroom. Silence. Maybe the punch had been harder than he thought. He coughed, telling the guard to ask his boss, and that he was leaving. The guard raised a hand but didn't stop him. Then he said Alex looked familiar. Alex worried he was one of the guards from the rooftop chase, but that was impossible with the mask. He walked faster, calling over his shoulder that he probably just resembled his brother. Once clear of the estate, Alex went straight to his safe house. He finished his bag of pretzels, then took a short nap. The ink on his skin was irritating, so he got up and started scrubbing, cursing Julian with every motion. But the ink wouldn't come off. Desperate, he went to see Charlie. Charlie was a retired legend in their line of work, now handling logistics for the network. Alex showed him the marks. Charlie looked at the intricate black patterns covering Alex's torso and let out a low whistle. He remarked with a wry, knowing smile that the younger generation certainly had their own ways of doing things. He retrieved a bottle of solvent and began to gently wipe the marks away, admiring the strong, confident strokes. Alex changed the subject, not wanting to hear any praise for his tormentor. He posed a hypothetical. What would it mean if an enemy captured you, then let you go? Charlie glanced up from his work. That wouldn't be an enemy, he said. That would be a lover. Alex rolled his eyes. He reflected on his two failures. Julian was a fortress, well-defended and vicious when attacked. Alex confessed to Charlie that he had a difficult contract. A target with heavy security, high personal combat skill, and a penchant for dirty tricks. Charlie asked if the target was a man or a woman. A man. Charlie put down the cloth and leaned in conspiratorially. He told Alex that no matter how tough a man is on the outside, there's always a soft spot on the inside. He said that even heroes have a weakness for beauty, and that Alex should figure out the rest. The advice was like a lightning bolt. He understood. The next day, Alex paid a small fortune to hire the city's most sought-after escort, Camille, for an evening. He didn't want her services, but her skills. Camille, intrigued, spent the night teaching him the art of makeup and subtle movement. They parted like old friends, with Camille gifting him several high-end cosmetic kits. After days of practicing a new walk, a new posture, a new voice, he was ready. It was all for the $3 million. He timed Julian's return from Capitol Hill, waiting on a quiet side street. He was now unrecognizable, clad in a delicate pink dress, his movements graceful and alluring. His face was transformed, his eyes larger, his lips a perfect crimson. His own mother wouldn't know him. A black town car with the advisor's crest approached. Showtime. Alex clutched his chest, stumbled, and collapsed elegantly in the middle of the road. The driver stopped, yelling at him to get out of the way. Alex pitched his voice higher, a fragile, breathy sound. He explained that he'd twisted his ankle and begged for help. The driver, unimpressed, told him to get lost. This wasn't working. He had practiced too hard to fail now. He summoned tears, his voice breaking. He cried that he hadn't eaten in 3 days. He begged the gentleman for mercy. The performance was so convincing, he almost believed it himself. Surely no man could resist such a display of vulnerable beauty. But Julian Vance was not a normal man. A cold voice from within the car instructed the driver to proceed, and to have security send a cleanup crew for the body. Alex's eyes widened as the car began to roll forward. He scrambled out of the way just in time. As the car passed, his facade broke. He shouted a string of creative obscenities at the vehicle. Suddenly, the car stopped. The voice instructed the driver to invite the lady inside. The driver respectfully helped him up. Confused but triumphant, Alex smoothed his dress and got in. Maybe Julian had a thing for being insulted. Inside, he sat opposite Julian. The man wore a dark, tailored suit and was engrossed in a book, not even sparing him a glance. Fine. If he wouldn't talk, Alex would. He smiled demurely, introducing himself as Natalie and thanking the gentleman for his rescue. He fluttered his eyelashes, waiting for the inevitable offer of repayment, perhaps with his body. Julian finally closed his book. His words were colder than a winter morgue. He stated that his household had no place for useless people. Alex fought the urge to curse him again, forcing a bright smile. He offered that he had some skill in martial arts and could provide a demonstration. Julian agreed that would be fine, then reopened his book. To be ignored for a book. For the first time, Alex questioned his own considerable charms. He was taken to a luxurious guest suite and provided with the finest food and drink. But Julian never came to see him. He sat there all day, maintaining his demure persona. That evening, a group of stern-looking women entered his room. Alex asked where Julian was. How could he execute the honey trap without the target? The lead woman replied respectfully, addressing him as Madame Vance. She explained that it was custom for the bride and groom not to see each other for a few days before the wedding, and that the president had sent them to instruct him on official etiquette. Alex pointed at himself, speechless. Did she say Madame Vance? The woman confirmed that the advisor had announced their wedding would be in 2 days. He was to learn protocol. Alex almost laughed out loud. This man was insane, marrying a woman he'd just met off the street. Then he remembered he was the one with ulterior motives. He couldn't marry Julian. He was a man. If that got out, his reputation would be ruined. The protocol lessons were torturous. Finally, the women left. He opened his door to get some air, but 2 guards stood outside. They asked if Madame Vance required anything. He said no, he just wanted to look at the moon. The guards blocked his path, stating the advisor's orders were for him to remain in his room. He slammed the door. He was under house arrest. A door was no obstacle. He tried the window only to find 2 more guards staring back at him. He slammed that shut too. The roof then. He climbed onto a beam and pushed open a roof tile. The cool night air smelled of freedom. A voice from the opening above asked if Madame Vance required anything. It was the guard who'd found him familiar. Alex, startled, nearly fell. He offered a weak laugh and commented on the fine weather. The guard advised him to rest, as high places were dangerous. He dropped back to the floor. If they would get him anything he needed, he would test that. He demanded a very specific, rare dish from the city's most exclusive restaurant, something known to be reserved for the political elite. In the middle of the night, they'd never manage it. A short while later, a guard delivered the dish, perfectly prepared. He took a bite. It was delicious. Maybe being married to Julian wouldn't be so bad. Then he remembered he was a man. Discovery would mean death. But he could use the next 2 days to eat well. He would kill Julian on their wedding night. 2 days of feasting later, the moment arrived. Alex went through the motions of the ceremony. A quiet, compliant bride. He had no choice. He was told the president was in attendance, which meant heavy security. One wrong move and he'd be full of holes. He sat alone in the bridal suite, starving. He ate all the decorative nuts and fruits on the table. Still hungry, he sorrowfully ate the 2 bread rolls he'd used to pad his chest. Hearing footsteps, he quickly pulled the veil over his face and sat primly on the bed. Julian entered, smelling of expensive liquor. He stopped a few feet away. Come closer, Alex thought, my dagger is short. The man's deep, husky voice broke the silence. He told his wife not to waste her efforts. Her employer could no longer pay. Alex ripped off the veil. What? Julian's smile was sly. The former Commerce Secretary, Goodman, had been arrested and his assets seized the day before. He was broke. The words hit Alex like a physical blow. His $3 million. Gone. All his work for nothing. And this bastard had known who he was all along, playing with him like a mouse. That was it. He declared he was done with this charade and made for the window. He avoided the door to spare Julian the public embarrassment of a runaway bride. How considerate. Julian, anticipating his move, blocked the window and grabbed his wrist. His eyes were dark and intense. He placed Alex's hand on his own chest. The first time, he said, Alex had kicked him here. Then he moved the hand to his left cheek. The second time, he'd punched him here. He asked where Alex wanted to hit him now. Alex sneered, his gaze dropping lower. He dared Julian to let him kick him there. Julian said no, he would need that later. So, the bastard did have a sense of self-preservation. Alex insisted it was none of his business. He reminded Julian that he was a man, and that they should just forget this ever happened. Couldn't be forgotten, Julian said, his expression completely serious. Alex, his heart aching, offered to pay him some compensation. He watched Julian closely, hoping the man wouldn't demand an exorbitant sum. Instead, Julian reached up and touched his face. He reminded Alex that they were married now. The atmosphere turned strange. Alex pushed his hand away, arguing that Shinen was the one who married him, and that it had nothing to do with him. Julian said the name didn't matter. He was who he was. He made an offer. Be his consort and he would take care of him. Did he want the job? It was a path Alex had never considered. He refused. Pretending to be a woman was too much trouble. Julian whispered in his ear that he could just be himself. He told him to think about it. Alex never trusted easy fortunes. This man had to want something. He asked why him. Julian's gaze was deep and searching. He said it was time for truth in exchange for truth. He told Alex to assume he had desired him for a very long time. A man he'd tried to kill 3 times desired him? It was absurd. Yet the intensity in his eyes, the heat radiating from his body, felt real. After a long moment of hesitation, Alex said, "Deal." A slow smile spread across Julian's face. A terrible thought occurred to Alex. Perhaps the person who fell for the honey trap was him. Lying in bed, rubbing his sore back, Alex replayed the events in his head. How did an assassin end up sleeping with his target? Where had it all gone wrong? Julian gently traced the network of old scars on his back. He asked how he got them. Alex flinched away, telling him not to touch them. Julian obediently withdrew his hand, but his voice held a soft threat as he insisted on an answer. Alex gave him a clipped version of the truth. He'd saved a kid once and gotten beaten for it. Julian immediately asked if it was him. Alex studied his face for a moment. No, unless he'd had plastic surgery. He explained. He'd spent time with a ring of human traffickers who maimed children and forced them to beg. He was smart enough to avoid most beatings, but he helped one newly captured boy escape. The kid was naive, thinking their captors were philanthropists. After convincing the boy to run, Alex had received a beating that nearly killed him. A compassionate couple had saved him, becoming his adoptive parents, teaching him to fight, giving him a life. They were gone now. After that, he became an assassin. The naive boy he saved looked nothing like Julian Vance. He was finally dining in the city's most exclusive restaurant, the Observatory, thanks to Julian. A full spread of their legendary dishes covered the table. He was famished. Julian ate little, content to serve him. He claimed to desire him. Alex wasn't sure if it was true, but as long as the man wasn't trying to kill him, he would enjoy the service. After the meal, Julian asked if he would mind meeting a friend. Alex waved a hand dismissively. It was his friend, not his. Soon, two men entered the private room. One was dressed like an eccentric academic, the other was Keegan, the guard who had found him familiar. So that was his name. He also looked familiar to Alex somehow. Julian introduced the first man as Mr. Sterling. The name Leo was brought up, and Alex remembered his flimsy alibi at the gate. He couldn't believe the guard had actually bought it. Mr. Sterling just smiled and studied him for a moment before declaring him a person of great fortune. A charlatan, obviously. If he was fortunate, no one in the world was unlucky. Mr. Sterling and Julian exchanged a look. Alex ignored their silent communication and studied Keegan. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. Mr. Sterling's voice pulled him back. He mentioned that Alex and Keegan also shared a connection. He said 2 words, Port Sterling, the place where he'd been held by the traffickers. He looked at Keegan again. The tall frame, the naive air, the vaguely familiar face. Couldn't be. Keegan stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion as he called Alex his savior. Julian squeezed his hand. Alex turned and explained to him that Keegan was the reason for the scars on his back. Julian asked if it had hurt. Not anymore, Alex said. He barely remembered the pain. Keegan's overwhelming guilt made him uncomfortable. He preferred it when people repaid their debts with cash. After Keegan left, Mr. Sterling looked at him with that same mysterious expression. He asked if Alex remembered ever taking on a great misfortune for the advisor. Alex answered honestly that he did not. Julian's hand tightened on his eyes downcast. He murmured that Alex remembered Keegan, but not him. Alex pulled his hand away, telling him not to be so dramatic. Mr. Sterling then asked where he was from before Port Sterling. Alex tried to remember. His earliest memories were of begging there. He knew the traffickers weren't his real family. Could he have amnesia? He'd never considered it before. He was just focused on surviving. He wasn't the type of person to sacrifice himself for others. He'd only freed Keegan to spite his captors. He asked them if they were sure they had the right person. Mr. Sterling began muttering to himself, a look of profound confusion on his face. Alex asked Julian what he thought. What if he was this person, and what if he wasn't? He looked Julian in the eye, making it clear that he didn't need anyone to survive. If Julian stopped providing for him, he'd go back to being an assassin. It was a hard life, but a profitable one. Julian said it didn't matter. They were fine just as they were. But Mr. Sterling grew agitated, insisting to Julian that a karmic debt must be repaid, and the person had to be found. A calamity, he said, was just borrowing someone else's fortune. Given his luck, Alex thought it was possible. Julian insisted he could handle the backlash. Mr. Sterling, defeated, sighed and gave up. Later, Alex tried to ask Julian about this borrowed fortune, but he refused to talk about it. The man spent his days at the Capitol and his nights buried in paperwork, doing the president's job for him. Alex, bored, started spending his days at a high-class burlesque club with his friend Camille. She was a great storyteller. The fun ended abruptly when Julian kicked down the door to Camille's private lounge. He demanded to know if Alex was using his money to support other people. Alex angrily told him to back off. He tried to get Camille to continue her story about a politician's wife and a pool boy, but Camille was terrified. She had seen Julian and his security detail and was pale with fear. Julian took a deep breath, reining in his fury. He told Alex to come home. Alex refused. Julian grabbed him, lifting him and slinging him over his shoulder. He instructed Keegan to tie his hands and feet. Alex struggled, and Julian swatted his backside. Him to be quiet if he didn't want to cause a bigger scene. From the floor, Camille found her courage and cried out that Natalie was a good person. Julian's eyes narrowed. Natalie? So that's where he'd learned it. Alex quickly tried to explain that Camille had nothing to do with it. Julian carried him straight out of the club and into the street. Alex wrapped his arms and legs around him, held fast by ropes, and buried his face in Julian's neck to avoid being recognized. The public humiliation was excruciating. People on the street stared and whispered. Was that the advisor carrying a child? No, it was a grown man. Was he a criminal? What a hero using himself as bait. The moment the doors of the estate closed behind them, Alex exploded. He screamed at Julian, asking if he had no shame, dragging him through the streets like that. He demanded to know what was wrong with him visiting a friend. Before he could continue, Julian's mouth was on his, silencing his tirade. His mind went blank, then quickly caught up. He would not be outdone. He deepened the kiss, taking the lead. Julian's body tensed, then responded with equal fervor. Lost in the moment, Alex suddenly felt something hard and hot press against him. He pulled back, eyes wide with disbelief, calling him an animal. Julian, breathing heavily, carried him quickly to the bedroom, his voice trembling as he begged Natalie to help him. Alex told him to untie him first. Julian carried him to the bed and turned his back. Alex saw a sheathed sword secured to the bedpost. No wonder he was so hard to kill. The man hid weapons everywhere. He drew the sword, sliced through the ropes, and landed on his feet, pressing the blade to Julian's neck. He told him that if he could win a fight, he would have him. In the courtyard, they fought. The guards gathered to watch. One commented on the madam's skill. Another asked if she was really a woman. Keegan, a self-proclaimed expert, stated confidently that the advisor's spouse was a man. He was an old acquaintance. As they debated, Alex knocked the sword from Julian's hand, sending his own flying in the process. They switched to hand-to-hand combat. The fight was intense, a blur of motion. Alex was focused until one of the guards shouted encouragement. The distraction caused him to hesitate for a fraction of a second. It was all Julian needed. His hand was at Alex's throat. "I win," he said, a triumphant gleam in his eyes. Alex glared at Keegan, who had cost him his honor. "It didn't count," he protested. He was distracted. Julian simply picked him up. "Then how come I wasn't distracted?" he asked. Alex vowed never to make a bet with Julian again. The consequences were brutal. It took 3 days before he could walk properly again. He went to visit Camille, only to be told by the club's owner that she was gone. The advisor had bought out her contract, and she had married and left town without a word. The story about the politician's wife would remain unfinished. Dejected, he returned to the estate and took his frustration out on a training dummy. Julian appeared, handing him a letter. It was from Camille. She had written down the rest of the story for him, pages and pages of juicy gossip. He read it with delight, so engrossed that he absently agreed to whatever Julian was asking of him. On the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival, he found himself at the entrance to the presidential residence, adjusting the ridiculously ornate hairpin in his wig. He complained to Julian about having to attend a state dinner. Julian explained that the president had been asking to meet his new wife for months. He reminded Alex of the rare book collection he had been promised in return. Alex grumbled that this was the last time he would dress as a woman. Inside, the president, a surprisingly young man, greeted them as uncle and aunt. Alex managed a tight smile. The kid looked younger than half the women in the room. Following Julian's lead clearly had its perks. The dinner was lavish. When others raised their glasses for a toast, Alex raised his teacup. He wasn't allowed alcohol ever since an incident involving a stolen bouquet at a public wedding. Julian was a tyrant about the smallest things. Annoyed, Alex began systematically stealing food from Julian's plate. Julian, unbothered, simply wiped a smudge from Alex's mouth with a napkin. A pang of guilt made Alex return a dish of green beans. After dinner, the president summoned him to his private study. Alex looked at Julian, concerned. A private meeting with his aunt? Julian nodded, telling him to be himself. A dangerous proposition. The moment he entered the study, the young president burst out that he had saved the Vance family line. He had been terrified that his uncle was gay and would never produce an heir. Alex cut him off, asking why the family line depended on Julian. Couldn't he have children? The president, looking pained, confessed that he was, in fact, a woman. This world was insane. Alex, recovering, offered some practical advice. Her children would still carry the family name. She ran the country in name only. Julian handled the actual work. She could easily conceal a pregnancy, have a son, pass the title to him, and then everyone would be free. The young monarch listened, stunned but thoughtful. Leaving the study, he found Mr. Sterling waiting for him. Julian was gone. Mr. Sterling said he had come to enlighten him. He recounted a story from a decade ago of a political coup where a young Julian Vance had fled south. In Port Sterling, he met a person of destiny who unknowingly took on his bad fortune, allowing him to survive and rise to power. But the fortune was borrowed, and if not returned, the backlash would be severe. The only way to return it was for Julian to marry this person. Alex was about to ask more when a lady-in-waiting approached, saying her mistress, the city's greatest beauty, wished to share the moonlight with Madame Vance. Alex, bored, agreed. He was led to a secluded lake. A beautiful woman named Shannon emerged. She immediately began insulting him, calling him a common prostitute unfit for the advisor. She grabbed his sleeve, trying to drag him toward the water, declaring that only she was worthy of Julian. He shook her off. The woman stumbled back dramatically, falling into the lake with a crazed smile. "She tried to murder me," she shrieked. Her maid started screaming for help. Alex scoffed at the pathetic display and turned to leave. Suddenly, a powerful, unseen force struck him, sending him flying backward into the center of the lake. From the shadows, Mr. Sterling watched, satisfied. The answer to breaking the curse was in the water. The cold shock of the water triggered something. A memory. He was in Port Sterling again. He wasn't an assassin, just a street urchin named Ash. He tripped over a boy his age, dressed in fine clothes. Seeing the boy was unconscious, Ash had stolen his expensive coat and was trying to take a signet ring from his finger when the boy woke up, grabbing him. Ash's oversized, stolen shirt slipped, revealing the star-shaped birthmark on his collarbone. The boy had asked his name. Ash he'd lied, using a common name. He left the boy and walked into town, wearing the coat. Suddenly, soldiers were charging at him. He ran, escaping the city through a sewer grate, but they followed. Trapped, with a river behind him, he jumped. The icy water stole his breath, his memories, his identity. He washed ashore and was found by the traffickers. The face of the boy in his memory merged with Julian's. So he really had met him in Port Sterling. He had put on his coat and become his scapegoat. He was the person who had saved him. He opened his eyes with a gasp. He was in bed, Julian at his side, his face etched with fear. Alex's first coherent thought was a burning desire for revenge. He asked where that damn Sterling was. He was gonna shave his head and drown him. Julian, his voice strained, said he'd returned to his mountain retreat and handed him a letter. In it, Sterling explained that the water was the only way to break Alex's amnesia. He revealed that Julian's fate had been altered because Ash, in a moment of childish desperation, had truly wished to trade lives with the wealthy boy. That sincere wish was powerful enough to transfer the fortune. It was why Julian had been so fixated on him. It was a beautiful misunderstanding. His motive had been greed, not altruism. But looking at the raw terror still lingering in Julian's eyes, a fear for his safety that was utterly genuine, Alex realized something. It wasn't too late to return that sincerity now. You were worried about me, he stated, a faint smile playing on his lips. Julian just nodded, his grip on his hand tight. Alex told him that if he was truly sorry, he'd let him be on top next time. Julian just told him not to joke. Then Alex gave him a gift. He told him the location of a hollow tree 2 kilometers southwest of the Port Sterling Gate, where a boy's signet ring was hidden. Julian froze, then a wave of pure joy washed over his features. He told Alex to keep it. It was his now. It was, Alex later learned, the Vance family's traditional betrothal gift. The name on their official marriage certificate was not Natalie, nor Leo. It was Ash. Julian had never been gambling. He had been certain all along. The young president did, in fact, go on to secure her dynasty. Julian remained the power behind the throne. Alex once asked him why he didn't take the title himself. He said his own fortune was too thin to protect a nation. A strange answer, but Alex was glad. A president has to hold a country in his heart. The advisor only had to hold one person. At the christening of the first royal heir, Alex saw Mr. Sterling again. He relieved the old man of several lucky charms as payment for his near drowning. Sterling was right about one thing. He was a fortunate man. The rest of his life would be proof of that.